The man who made millions died with only $2 million and 3 kids who never got the life they deserved. The phone rang in Richmond, Virginia on October 14, 2025, and 3 young people got the worst news of their lives. Their father, the legendary D'Angelo, was gone at 51 years old. But this isn't just another celebrity death story. This is about a musical genius who sold millions of records, won 4 Grammy Awards, and changed an entire genre of music, yet somehow ended up with barely $2 million to his name when he died. Even stranger, just 7 months before he passed away, the mother of his oldest son had also died in a tragic car crash. This is the complete story of how D'Angelo really lived, who he loved, what he left behind, and why one of the greatest voices in music history ended up with so little money despite so much success. Let's start with where he lived, because that tells you a lot about who D'Angelo really was. Unlike most celebrities who moved to Los Angeles or New York and never looked back, D'Angelo always kept strong ties to his hometown of Richmond, Virginia. After the Voodoo Tour ended in 2000, when he became uncomfortable with his status as a sex symbol, D'Angelo returned to his home in Richmond, Virginia, disappearing from the public eye. He grew up in the South Side section of Richmond, in a working-class neighborhood where his father was a Pentecostal preacher. That humble background never left him. For Virginians, especially those from the 804 area code, which covers central Virginia, D'Angelo was homegrown royalty. People from Richmond knew where he grew up, knew where he went to high school, and understood just how vital Richmond and Chesterfield County were to his life story. When he disappeared from music during his troubled years in the mid-2000s, he was living in Richmond and also recording there and in New York City. A Richmond magazine reporter in 2006 actually tracked down D'Angelo's address and drove to his home, describing it as being near the Powhatan County line in a newish, upper-middle-class neighborhood of transitional homes. This wasn't a mansion in Beverly Hills or a penthouse in Manhattan. It was a regular nice house in a suburban Virginia neighborhood. That was D'Angelo. He never needed the flashy lifestyle. He just wanted space to create music and be left alone. What's interesting is how his home became his hideout during the darkest years of his life. During his struggles with addiction in the mid-2000s, the house looked abandoned and people couldn't find him. Even the Virginia State Police issued a warrant for his arrest in 2005, but couldn't serve it because they had no evidence of his location. He had essentially vanished into his own home, avoiding everyone. D'Angelo, a famously obsessive musician, retreated to his home in Virginia and spent years honing his next album. While other artists would have been touring constantly to make money, D'Angelo locked himself away working on music that took over a decade to finish. That dedication to his art over commercial success is probably a big reason why his net worth wasn't higher. He chose quality and perfection over quick money every single time. Now let's talk about his love life, because this is where things get complicated and heartbreaking. D'Angelo never married. Not once in his 51 years did he walk down the aisle. He was an extremely private person who rarely discussed his romantic relationships in interviews. But there was one relationship that defined a huge part of his life and career, and that was with singer Angie Stone. D'Angelo and Angie Stone met in the 1990s when D'Angelo was just 19 years old and Angie was 30 years old, making her 11 years older than him. In an old interview with Essence, Angie revealed that when she met D'Angelo, he was just a kid with glasses, short hair, and his pants hanging down. She said nobody cared and nobody saw his beauty but her. People often accused Angie of being inappropriate for dating someone so much younger, but their love was genuine. They understood each other musically and creatively in a way few people could. Their connection was both romantic and creatively fruitful, profoundly influencing the neo-soul scene of the 1990s. Angie Stone was already an established singer and songwriter when they met. She saw his developing brilliance immediately. She even performed with him as a backing vocalist during his early live shows. They worked together, created together, and truly seemed like musical soulmates. In 1998, their first child together was born, a son named Michael D'Angelo Archer II. Now 27 years old, he also goes by the stage name Suavo Twain. The relationship between D'Angelo and Angie lasted about 4 years total, but even after they split up, they continued to co-parent their son and maintained respect for each other. Then came the tragedy that nobody expected. On March 1st, 2025, Angie Stone was killed in a car accident near Montgomery, Alabama. She and her band members were traveling in a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van to Atlanta following a Mardi Gras concert in Mobile, Alabama, when the van overturned on Interstate 65. While the passengers were trying to exit the stationary vehicle, a Freightliner Cascadia semi-trailer truck hit them. Everyone survived except Angie, who was the only fatality. She was 63 years old. According to a person close to D'Angelo, he was clearly shaken by the car accident that claimed Angie's life. He would play old songs they had recorded together for days on end, calling them their diary in sound. There was a sense of artistic and personal emptiness in her absence. They had been apart romantically for over 2 decades, but that didn't mean he stopped caring about the mother of his firstborn child. Just 7 months later, D'Angelo himself would be gone. D'Angelo died from pancreatic cancer in New York City on the morning of October 14, 2025, at the age of 51. Their son, Michael Jr., spoke openly about his grief, saying that losing both parents in a matter of months had been a storm too strong to prepare for. Think about that for a second. A 27-year-old man lost his mother in March and his father in October of the same year. That's devastating beyond words, but Michael wasn't D'Angelo's only child. He also has a daughter named Imani Archer, who is 26 years old. Information about her mother is not public, reflecting D'Angelo's commitment to privacy. After D'Angelo's death, Imani posted on Instagram calling her dad her biggest hype man, her protector, her biggest musical inspiration, the kindest and most selfless man, and the best father anyone could have ever had. She said no one would ever measure up to how brave and strong he was. D'Angelo's third child is a younger son, 15-year-old Morocco Archer. The mother of Morocco and Imani has not been publicly identified, as D'Angelo chose to keep these details of his personal life away from media scrutiny. So here's what we know for sure. D'Angelo had 3 children, with at least 2 different women, never married any of them, and kept his family life extremely private to protect his kids from the spotlight that had caused him so much pain. In terms of his death, the details are heartbreaking. In May 2025, D'Angelo had to cancel his performance at the Roots Picnic Festival, posting that he had an unforeseen medical delay from surgery, and his doctors advised him that performing could make things worse. At the time, fans were disappointed, but nobody knew how serious things actually were. Behind the scenes, D'Angelo had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, which is one of the deadliest forms of cancer, with only about 13% of patients surviving 5 years after diagnosis. A family member told People magazine that D'Angelo had been in hospice for 2 weeks and had been hospitalized for months before that. His son Michael was with him during those final days. In an Instagram story posted after D'Angelo's death, Michael wrote something that will absolutely break your heart. He said he just sat there watching his daddy die after feeling like it was the first time they were truly building a relationship. He said D'Angelo was there when he needed him most after the passing of his mother, but unfortunately time ran out. The family released an official statement saying the shining star of their family had dimmed his light for them in this life, and that after a prolonged and courageous battle with cancer, they were heartbroken to announce his death. It's clear from these statements that D'Angelo fought hard, but cancer won in the end. Now here's the part that shocks most people. Despite being one of the most influential R&B artists of all time, despite creating 3 albums that critics call contemporary classics, despite winning 4 Grammy Awards and selling millions of records, D'Angelo's net worth at the time of his death was estimated at only $1 to $2 million. Let that sink in. $1 to $2 million. That's it. For comparison, when Prince died, he left behind an estate worth over $200 million. When Michael Jackson died, his estate was eventually worth over $1 billion. Even contemporary R&B artists who are way less influential than D'Angelo have died with tens of millions of dollars. So what happened? Where did all the money go? First, D'Angelo only released 3 albums in a 30-year career. His debut Brown Sugar came out in 1995. His second album Voodoo came out in 2000. Then he disappeared. for 14 years before releasing Black Messiah in 2014. Most artists release an album every 2 or 3 years to keep money flowing in consistently. D'Angelo went 5 years between his first and second album, then 14 years between his second and third. During those massive gaps, he wasn't touring, wasn't making money from new releases, but he still had to pay for living expenses. Child support for 3 kids, legal fees from his arrests, rehab costs, and endless studio time for albums he never finished. The music industry also changed dramatically during his career. Brown Sugar and Voodoo were released during the era when physical album sales still made artists real money. By the time Black Messiah dropped in 2014, streaming had taken over and artists were making pennies per stream instead of dollars per album sale. The economics of the music business had completely shifted against artists like D'Angelo, who released music slowly and carefully. There's also the ugly reality that the music industry has always exploited black artists. D'Angelo probably signed contracts early in his career that gave most of the profits to record labels and executives. Many soul and R&B legends from previous generations died broke despite creating timeless music because the business side was designed to take advantage of artists. D'Angelo was brilliant with music, but he was never focused on maximizing his income. He was a perfectionist artist who cared more about creating something meaningful than making money. His personal struggles also cost him millions. The addiction issues, the legal troubles, the years out of the spotlight when he could have been touring and making money, all of it added up. When you're spending tens of thousands of dollars on rehab, dealing with multiple arrests and car accidents, and losing years of prime earning potential, those costs pile up incredibly fast. D'Angelo prioritized his art and his recovery over his bank account, which is admirable for your soul but devastating for your finances. It's also worth noting that D'Angelo wasn't flashy with his money. He didn't buy a fleet of luxury cars. He didn't own multiple mansions. There's virtually no public information about D'Angelo owning any expensive cars or living an extravagant lifestyle. The man drove a regular car and lived in a nice but not outrageous house in Virginia. He wasn't wasting money on jewelry, designer clothes, or the typical celebrity excess. The money just never accumulated the way it should have because the music industry took most of it, and his long gaps between releases meant he wasn't earning consistently. What makes his story even sadder is what he left behind for his children. 3 kids, 2 of them still fairly young, now have to navigate life without their father. Morocco is only 15. That's a kid who lost his dad right when he needs him most. Imani is 26 and Michael is 27. So they're adults, but still young adults trying to figure out their own lives. And whatever inheritance D'Angelo left will have to be split between 3 children, their mothers, taxes, and whatever debts he had. We're probably talking about a few $100,000 per kid at most. That's not nothing. But it's also not enough to set them up for life the way the children of a musical legend should be. The tragedy of D'Angelo's financial situation is that it didn't have to be this way. If he had released more music consistently, if he had toured more regularly, if he had better business management, if he had been willing to compromise his artistic vision even slightly for commercial success, he could have died a wealthy man. But that wasn't who he was. D'Angelo was an artist first, last, and always. He would rather spend 14 years perfecting Black Messiah than rush out mediocre music just to make money. He also valued his privacy and his family's privacy more than fame. While other celebrities were building brands and doing endorsement deals and staying constantly in the public eye to maximize their earning potential, D'Angelo was hiding in his Richmond house trying to protect himself and his kids from the pressures that had nearly destroyed him. That's an honorable choice, but it's also an expensive choice. Looking back at D'Angelo's lifestyle, what you see is a man who was deeply uncomfortable with fame, devoted to his craft above all else, protective of his family's privacy, and completely uninterested in the typical celebrity game. He didn't want to be a sex symbol. He didn't want to be on magazine covers. He didn't want red carpets and award shows unless it was truly necessary. He wanted to make music that mattered, raise his kids away from the spotlight, and live a relatively normal life in his Virginia hometown, the house in Richmond. The relationship with Angie Stone that produced a son, the 2 other children with different mothers whose identities he protected, The modest lifestyle despite his fame, the years spent hiding from the public eye, the decision to prioritize artistic integrity over commercial success. All of it paints a picture of someone who was fundamentally at odds with what the entertainment industry wanted him to be. They wanted a shirtless sex symbol who would churn out hits constantly and play the game. He wanted to be a serious musician who controlled every aspect of his art and lived life on his own terms. In the end, D'Angelo got what he wanted in terms of artistic legacy. His 3 albums are considered masterpieces. He influenced an entire generation of artists. Tyler, the Creator, says D'Angelo shaped his musical DNA. Prince himself said he dug D'Angelo, which is the highest compliment possible. When Jamie Foxx heard D'Angelo's music for the first time, he said real tears ran down his face because he knew whoever made this music was anointed. Beyoncé called him the pioneer of neo-soul who transformed rhythm and blues forever. But he didn't get what he deserved financially. $2 million for a career like his is insulting. It's proof that the music industry is broken, that black artists are still being exploited, that choosing artistic integrity over commercial compromise comes with a massive financial penalty. D'Angelo died young, died relatively broke, and left his 3 kids without a father and without the financial security that should have come from having a legendary musician as a dad. That bank account never reflected the true value of the man. And now it's too late to change any of it. The fact that he only left behind $2 million after changing an entire genre of music is something the music industry should be deeply ashamed of. Drop a comment if you think the music industry failed D'Angelo and still exploits black artists today.